I would like to revise a point I made in my previous video on Nitro Rooski. In one segment, I compared Matthew to around 3 horde zoophiles. I now realize doing so was a mistake, as Matthew hasn't attempted to touch animals in such a way. I shouldn't have compared him to these 3. What I should have done was compare him to these 3, because if this new information is anything to go off by, Matthew just might be revving up to follow in their shoes someday. For those not aware of this degeneracy, this channel has already put together a video explaining his constant stream of terrible choices, as well as the first update on said choices. For this second update, we'll be covering what's been going on in the past month, as well as why Matthew probably shouldn't be trusted around children, allegedly. So last we left off, Matthew had received a work-in-progress photo of a fursuit that was almost one-for-one that of Dalmatian Patches, the person Matthew has been both impersonating and slandering on the web for a while now. At the end of the video, I ended up questioning what Matthew was even planning to get out of this. It wasn't even a few days later before the answer would pop up. On June 8th, Dalmatian Patch would quote tweet a previous post on Nitro to announce that Matthew had received the finished fursuit. What's even worse is the fact that Matthew is still telling people that this was supposed to be Patch's secret mersuit, which sounds pretty damn stupid of a rumor to spread given this is his suit. Why would he want the suit you have to be the secret sex one? It just doesn't add up. I mean, the worst he could do with the suit could easily be debunked if he were to do it. Yet, I'm still not gonna say aloud what that would be. I'll be damned if I give this fucker any ideas. Anyways, yeah. Don't Hug Cacti have essentially thrown common courtesy to the wind, yet again, and finished the fursuit for Matthew. Even as Patch emailed DHC and offered to purchase the fursuit in Matthew's stead so they wouldn't lose money over the issue. So now you have a grown man walking around in a Dalmatian suit impersonating someone he likely still doesn't even know much about. Thanks DHC. And while Patch states that Nitro has been staying primarily in DMs on Telegram, there have actually been sightings of Matthew out and about later in the month. For instance, this tweet here from another fursuiter, Blaze Note. On June 20th, the two were out fursuiting for a bit. Other users were quick to point out the past actions of who Blaze was with, prompting him to delete the tweet. Given that Patch and Blaze currently follow one another, I think it's safe to say that he was just unaware of what Nitro was responsible for. At least I would hope. Although, less than a week later, an update much larger and much more damning would be dropped on the Kiwi Farms by the Threads OP, who's been neatly organizing all the abhorrent things Nitro and his group have been doing since Capital City FurCon was in the works. According to their post on June 27th, a friend of Trips had made a post on Twitter around June 7th in an attempt to bring awareness to Matthew's deeds. And with this attempt, they would catch the attention of a woman who DM'd them with claims that Matthew had tried to coax her teenage son into living with him. The thread's organizer has censored the names of both the leaker of this information, as well as the woman who contacted them. Regardless, they have gone out of their ways to verify that these claims were legitimate, so there's nothing being hidden here other than for the sake of privacy. So, what's in these leaks anyways? Well, it starts with the woman getting straight to the point, that Matthew is meeting underage boys online, and enticing them to leave their parents and illegally live with him. She knows because she's a mother herself, her 17-year-old son falling victim to meeting Matthew in a furry group. She would even get her husband, a former police officer, involved, and he would actually take it upon himself to go down to Matthew's place. During the visit, he would come across 2 other 17-year-olds who were living there with him already. The ex-cop would take the 2 back to their parents, with little fuss from Matthew, who apparently shrunk down and continuously stated that he was 24, as if bringing attention to the 7-year age gap between the residents there made things any better. And because one of the teenagers claimed that he was paying Matthew rent to live there, the woman would report to his rental office, telling them that he was illegally subletting teens. The same rental office that had been trying to have Matthew evicted for months now, even before the mention of kids entered the fray. Some people might be thinking that maybe Matthew was just giving these kids a place to go to. Maybe their home conditions weren't so good to the point where they needed a place to stay. A place so good he asked a minor to pay rent. Well, that could be excused if it weren't for his track record of cocking up everything he does, or the fact of this being so predatory. Because when the woman's husband drove one of the kids home, his parents pretty much said that they didn't want him. So yeah, Matthew gave the residence to a kid who was in a pretty bad living situation. But you know what else you could call that? Predatory. Instead of talking or meeting up with the minor's parents to make that arrangement, He preyed on the vulnerabilities of that minor to get them to live with him for who knows what ulterior motives. And one can infer that since said minor only lived 45 minutes away from Matthew, that the talk between Matthew and these minors was primarily voice or in person. Does make sense after remembering how he pretty much only wanted to talk to Patch in a voice call. So all in all, this is essentially a pretty sturdy account that confirms that Matthew was essentially, for the lack of a more professional word, moralist scum? I'm sure there's a word better fit to describe a charity swindling, fursuit or impersonating salt of the earth who has yet to provide a meaningful thing to society other than headaches and unneeded stress for others. But I've yet to find it. However, the thread organizer at Kiwi Farms asked the leaker if they would be able to contact the woman again, since when they found out, a month had pretty much passed. And in that time, Matthew received an eviction notice, and had gotten his mother to call the woman's son, threatening to have him arrested. For what? Not a clue. She would call his mother back and tell her to never call her son again due to him being underage, and she hasn't called back since. But this dude really got his mother to threaten a fucking kid. I know moms would usually kill for their kids' well-being regardless of age. At least I know mine would, but this is just insane to me. Do you think she knows what her 24-year-old son is up to? The DashCon rivaling convention? The multiple relationships? Impersonating someone he doesn't even fucking know? I mean, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't tell your mom about illegally subletting apartments for minors. So, safe to say she isn't too well informed on her son. But that's about it for Matthew at this current point. Kids were taken out of his care, and while facing eviction, he was out with another furry doing something on a Sunday. So while Matthew was facing a sizable amount of shit for large-scale grifting and potentially soliciting minors, this would probably be a good time to bring up the Nitro crew as well. While they aren't mentioned last video, there have been some small notable updates from two of them, namely Kyle Wolf and Kenai the Husky. Kyle the Wolf seemingly commented on the second video around mid-June, saying that they regretted getting to know Matthew. While it doesn't ultimately lead to much, it does raise the idea that the group is engaging in a bit of infighting. That idea only becoming more concrete on June 25th, when Kenai the Husky would upload "I'm sorry." Or at least I was hoping it would be. Right now I'm just more unsure than anything. I think the comment I left summarizes my first impression pretty well. Anyways, Kenai seemed to have taken notice of my first video being circulated and figured that it was time to actually acknowledge his involvement in Matthew's antics. But as a quick recap, before I play any of this for you, Kenai doesn't seem to be on the same level of piss stain as Matthew is. Kenai is essentially guilty of his continued involvement with Matthew, even after Capital City FurCon kicked the bucket. But regardless of his lack of involvement with Matthew's schemes and scams, the problem comes with the lack of trying to distance yourself from someone responsible for the all-you-can-eat buffet of bullshit that's detailed in Matthew's thread. So, before I play any of this, just know that all Kenai needs to say in this video is that he doesn't support Matthew, and has cut off any connection with him. You know, something that can be said in less than a paragraph, let alone a 6-minute video.
Parker everyone, it's your friendly doggo Kenai, and today this video is not going to be like my normal ones. I just watched a video today that was posted 2 months ago, and if you guys have seen it, then you guys probably know where I'm going with this. But it's this video right here. And the guy has said some good valid points, and unfortunately I'm involved with those points. I just want to say that I am no way involved, nor do I condone anything that has happened with that con, and I'm not involved either. I am not involved at all.
Alright, there it is. Kenai stating that he doesn't condone Matthew or CCFC. Then what are the other 5 minutes about? And why do I hear music that's trying to tell me how to feel?
Yes, I do hang out with a guy who used to be the chairman, but I don't condone anything that he has done or what has been said he's done. I don't condone it at all.
Ah. It's one of those. He's essentially separating the artist from the art. Only in this case, it's separating the moral lacking man from the pile of burning bullshit.
This is not a video that I really wanted to do because it's not what my channel is about. But unfortunately, it has been brought to my attention that I am now being put as a person who supports him. I don't support him at all with that whole situation. For me, because of the way I was raised, I see them as a human being.
I mean, I see Matthew as a human being as well. And it gets harder to say that with every passing controversy he brought onto himself. But just as Matthew got himself into his mess, it's on him to get himself out. He just doesn't seem to want to. And by hanging around someone like that, you're bringing yourself down into his mess. The only logical solution would be to pull yourself away from that quicksand and keep going. Or you could stick around until it's too late to pull yourself out of the pit. It's your choice to make, Kenai, not anyone else's. Kenai then goes on to acknowledge what I've mentioned of his involvement. His tweet asking if the CCFC closing rumor was true, and this photo that cemented their involvement with one another. Although one thing he didn't mention was the time he allowed Matthew to guest host on one of his DJ streams. In these streams, he would refer to Matthew as Cider rather than his more well-known alias, Nitro Rooski. Almost as if he was intentionally trying to avoid the backlash Matthew's association would bring. But the thing is, this detail was only explicitly mentioned in the Kiwi Farms thread. I neglected to bring that point up in my video, so I can give him a begrudging pass in terms of not bringing that up.
It really hurts because I'm getting non-stop messages from a lot of people saying that because of this situation, I lost followers on TikTok, I lost followers on Twitter, on Instagram, and it's only a matter of time before everybody stops watching my videos here.
Now, I usually try to maintain some form of professionalism on this channel, but let me tell you about the first time I heard this. I was at work on break and came to this video. When I tell you that hearing him bring up losing followers made me laugh to the point I had to deal with a sore throat the rest of my shift, I'm not exaggerating in the slightest. All you had to do was just call Matthew out on his heinous actions. While cutting ties is recommended, it's not required. Or, well, at least not until now. Criticizing his actions is all it takes, not groveling about the magical serotonin numbers.
Popularity is not a thing for me. But like noticing that the people who follow me, I mean, yes, I haven't made a video in a long time, but I've been busy with work, so I haven't really had time to do that. Plus, I've been kind of concentrating on this. And I know you guys can hear the straining in my voice because like I don't want to lose the thing that I enjoy doing. And especially with Kenai in the works, I don't want a bad name put on him.
I'm scared of sounding like a broken record, so just take what I said last pause and copy and paste it here. Also, I'm sure we're all thinking it, but I'm just gonna say it. Yeah, this video would be a lot better if he just had the sad violin from SpongeBob instead of whatever these emotionally charged wubs are.
It's a very tough thing to have something you love and just fall apart because you saw the best in somebody and you wanted to prove everybody wrong, and then it backfired. And watching that video, I was literally just dying and crying because now I'm put as somebody who supports him, and I support him as a human being. I don't support what happened with the con and everything. I don't support or condone that at all.
Have I mentioned that this is only halfway through the video? Because it is. Halfway through, and now we're starting to tear up because we got labeled as the bad guy. Dude, just sit Matthew down and tell him to get his shit together. Duh. Real friends tell their friend when they do something stupid, or it shouldn't have been done. Not go on YouTube and think that this cookie cutter apology video formula works 100% of the time. And I don't want to sound heartless here, but what exactly were you dying and crying for? I actually don't understand. You were mentioned for hardly seconds out of a nearly half-hour video focused on Nitro. Your only issue was association and silent compliance, and the answer to addressing that was apparently apologizing for a convention you were hardly involved in? Do I even want to know what the other 3 minutes are about?
Kenai will be done this year, and I don't need for his reputation and his name to get thrown into the dumpster because of this bullshit. For the 13 years I've been in the fandom, I've had this name. And I don't want it to go to waste because of one fucking choice. I don't want to lose this battle. I love you guys too much, and I love what I do. And I don't want it to go to waste. I don't want it to go in the trash. I don't want it to
Well, I think it's safe to say that this is one of the worst YouTube apologies to date. Coming second only to K's about that save the kids crypto crap. So that's really about it. He just sort of cries under his fursuit head some more, and he goes on about how he thinks everything is crumbling down, and he just apologizes.
All I gotta say is, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
What for? I can't really tell at this point. I know I said it enough, and the people in the comments have already said it themselves, but you aren't being criticized and unfollowed for asking a question on Twitter. You're being brought up and criticized because of your constant sticking around to someone who's a known scammer, impersonator, and now possible pedophile in the works. Most people coming across that information would at least try to distance themselves from the person or question them about it, but you stayed silent about any and all things Matthew and stuck around him, making you appear as silently complicit. So now you're pretty much at a crossroad as far as reputation is concerned. You can either cut ties with Matthew completely, or you can try and get Matthew to take some damn responsibility for his actions. If you can get through to him, good job, here's a treat. But if he doesn't budge, I can't really say that's a friendship that's worth everything crumbling down for. Then again, this is on the off chance that Kenai actually comes across this video, which, I don't know, he might. But please don't harass him to see it either. I know I don't say it much, but I don't want people going out of their ways to harass or do anything to the people I talk about. It rarely ends well, trust me. But that's really about it when it comes to updates concerning Nitro and his circle. Things still seem to be ongoing as Nitro is trying to scam out some more impersonation art, and Trip is actually working on his own video talking about his personal experiences with Matthew. So for the time being, this is where we'll leave off. Feel free to drop your thoughts on this smorgasbord of information that dropped in just June alone. Like, subscribe, all that usual YouTube crap. Check my Twitter for updates on upcoming videos, and I will see you in the next one. Stay safe out there.